Former AEW star Mike Santana opens up on his departure from All Elite Wrestling, as well as explains the reasons behind his split with his former tag team partner Ortiz. Rich Holland says he's walking away from wrestling. Last night on the episode of NXT on USA Network, we have the ratings for Monday's edition of Raw from Chicago, Illinois. The North American Championship match has been confirmed for NXT Stand and Deliver during WrestleMania weekend. We've also got the hosts of Stand and Deliver confirmed as well. Alexa Bliss gives an update on her training ahead of a possible WWE in-ring return. A TBS title #1 contenders match is announced for tonight's edition of AEW Dynamite, as well as a tag team title tournament quarterfinal match. Plus, Natalia makes a surprise appearance on last night's episode of NXT. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrest News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Mike Santana and his exit from AEW. The former AEW stars opened up on his reasons for departing All Elite Wrestling once his contract came to an end. Now, former AEW star Mike Santana has explained a very dark time prior to his departure from the promotion earlier this year. Following AEW Revolution, Mike Santana was removed from the All Elite Wrestling roster page on their website. It was later announced that the former Inner Circle member was finishing up with the company. In a new interview with Chris Van Vliet, the former AEW star was asked about leaving the promotion. Santana answered, quote, "Like I was telling you, my decision to leave AEW came well before my injury. I got hurt in June of 2022, and at that point, I was dealing with so much in my life personally and professionally at work, and I was just burnt out. My contract was coming up in September, I believe, and I had already made the decision that I'm not going to re-sign, and I just needed to take a break and deal with the things that I needed to deal with." And yeah, so then the injury happened, so a lot of that was going on during that time. Now, on whether AEW wanted him to re-sign prior to his exit, Santana said, quote, "I'm not sure, but I wasn't really actively pursuing it. The time was coming up. Like I said, it was June when I got hurt. Our contract was up August, I think, in it, and I wasn't really actively pursuing and saying, oh, are you guys going to re-sign us? Because already in my head, I was like, yeah, I need to get away. I need to take a break. But I'm sure something would have worked out and they probably would have re-signed us. But yeah, man, during that time, it was a very dark time for me." Now, in addition to that, he also explained his split kind of infamously from his former tag team partner, Ortiz, as well. As I mentioned, following AEW Revolution, it was announced that he had left the company. He was removed from the company's roster page on their website. Now, of course, Santana came into AEW as one half of Proud and Powerful alongside Ortiz. The two aligned with Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Jake Hager in the Inner Circle faction before eventually splitting up in 2022 due to backstage differences. Now, in the same interview on Insight with Chris Van Vliet, Mike Santana was asked about the fallout with his former tag team partner Ortiz. He answered, quote, "Well, we were together for 10 years, I think, and when you're together with someone that long, it's like a married couple, right? There's good, there's bad. And I think, honestly, for the most part, it was like, I think we just grew apart over time. And also, our visions for the tag team and its future and its success, we weren't on the same page when it comes to a lot of those things. And it is what everybody has their thoughts. Everybody goes about things differently. But yeah, like I told you, I'm a go-getter. I like to create opportunities for myself. I'm more than willing to fight for our spot, but also I'm not going to be the only one." Now, when he was asked if there's any heat between him and Ortiz, Santana replied by saying, quote, "I wouldn't say so. I mean, for me, I don't hold any grudges. I told him after the match, yo, I hope the best for you. Hope you do well. There is no hard feelings. I hold no hate, no grudge, nothing. I'm in a different place in my life in general, and I'm good. I'm chilling." Now, Mike Santana is currently working on the independent scene where he holds the House of Glory World Championship. Meanwhile, Ortiz still works for All Elite Wrestling at the time of this recording. So what do you make of Santana's comments, and what do you think his future looks like? What can he do outside of AEW? Do you think he'll do anything significant? Let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comments section below. Now, Ridge Holland got a lot of people talking last night on NXT because weeks after abandoning Butch, now known as Pete Dunne once again on WWE television, Ridge Holland returned to his old stomping grounds in NXT with the aim of reshaping the perception of his in-ring work, which many fans have labelled as unsafe or reckless. Unfortunately for Holland, his efforts didn't quite produce the results he was looking for. As such, he has now decided to take a step back from professional wrestling. Holland first announced this move on Tuesday's episode of NXT as he delivered an emotional promo in the center of the ring. Holland's parting speech began with offering a gratitude to the NXT talent and crew, including William Regal and the head booker of NXT, Shawn Michaels. Holland then stated he was aware of the negative perception that followed him into NXT. With that in mind, Holland tried his best to create a new narrative, one that was based on redemption. As the backlash towards him continued, though, Holland said that he had to endure two challenging conversations. One involved his loved ones, while the other was an introspective dialogue in front of a mirror. Coming out of those conversations, Holland admitted that his physical and mental resilience has been waning. So in the interest of his mental health and welfare of his family, Holland made the difficult decision to step away from in-ring competition indefinitely. Before departing the ring, Holland issued a final round of thanks to the NXT universe for their support and for allowing him to take one last shot at redemption. There is no word at the time after this happened if it was part of plans, if it was real, but we've got more details on this right now, and they come courtesy of Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. Now, as I mentioned, on the March 26th edition of NXT, Ridge Holland announced that he would be stepping away from in-ring competition indefinitely. Shortly thereafter, he was actually moved to the alumni section of WWE's website as well, leading to some people thinking, oh, is this actually legitimate? Is it not a work? Now, NXT sources have confirmed to Corey Brennan of Fightful Select that this is part of Holland's current storyline and it's not an official retirement. The story has been one that Holland has been motivated to do, with the former Brawling Brute being receptive to suggestions. Now, the storyline has had no pushback from a creative or talent standpoint, despite some fan backlash of leaning into this unsafe kind of narrative that's surrounding him. Of course, one that does stem from legitimate incidents such as Big E when he broke his neck, etc. It is expected to run its course as originally planned, but this is just a storyline. It's part of the show. Now, let's talk about the ratings for Monday's edition of Raw, because it was an episode that certainly got a lot of people talking for a variety of reasons. Now, this past week's Raw seemingly got fans talking, as mentioned, due to the sheer amount of star power on Showcase, and that has reflected in a slight increase in ratings and viewership. As per WrestleNomics, the March 25 edition of Monday Night Raw drew a viewership of 1.729 million viewers, which is a 2% increase from the previous week's Raw numbers. The key 18 to 49 demographic also saw a gain, with a rating of a 0.57 compared to the 0.55 of the previous week, marking a 4% increase. Now, the key demographic was also higher compared to the average of the previous 4 weeks of the show. Raw did face stiff competition with the NCAA women's basketball match between Iowa and West Virginia, which garnered an audience of nearly 5 million as per the Wrestling Observer. Now, when it comes to the quarter-hour ratings, these come courtesy of WrestleNomics, so shout out to them and be sure to subscribe to their Patreon service. As you can see, the story is pretty telling as to what did well and what didn't. Now, the show, held at the Allstate Arena in Chicago, featured several big names, including hometown hero CM Punk, as well as the likes of The Rock, Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, and Rhea Ripley, to name a few, all of whom hyped up their WrestleMania matches. As expected, the segment featuring CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins, where the trio took pot shots at each other, was the show's high point from a viewership standpoint, with nearly 2.2 million viewers tuning in for that quarter of the show. A report following the show has suggested that some parts of the segment were scripted, while the trio also went off the cuff in certain other parts as well. And as you can see, it's far above what has been the average over the last 90 days, that huge spike not only in total viewership, but also the key demographic as well. Now, The Rock and Cody Rhodes' initial face-off in the ring, as well as Lynch and Ripley's segment, did well, with both quarters garnering around 1.74 million viewers. But the final quarter of the show, where The Rock brutalized Cody Rhodes, saw viewership taper off to 1.67 million. Of course, next week's edition of Monday Night Raw will be the final show of the Red Brand before WrestleMania 40, and it will be held at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, where The Rock advertised to appear on the show alongside the Tribal Chief himself, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Now, WrestleMania weekend is also going to have NXT Stand and Deliver, and a big title match has been announced for the show because NXT North American champion Obafemi will defend his title against 2 stars at the Stand and Deliver Premium Live event. It was announced by the champion on this past week's edition of NXT that Dijak and Josh Briggs will face him in a triple threat match on WrestleMania weekend. Dijak and Briggs both secured wins on Tuesday's show, with the former defeating Shawn Spears, while the latter got a victory over Chase U's Duke Hudson. After the match between Briggs and Hudson, Dijak, who was on commentary, got into the ring, and he was joined by Obafemi. The North American champion was seemingly impressed with Dijak and Briggs' wins and offered them a shot at his title, but warned them they won't be able to take the title off him. Obafemi last defended this title on the March 12 edition of NXT, where he got the victory over Brooks Jensen. His reign as champion began in January when he cashed in his breakout tournament contract against Dragon Lee to begin his first title reign in WWE. 4 other matches have been announced for the Stand and Deliver show, 3 of which are for titles. NXT champion Ilya Dragunov will defend his title against Tony D'Angelo, while NXT Women's champion Lyra Valkyria will hope to extend her title reign as she faces off against former champion Roxanne Perez. Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin, the current NXT Tag Team Champions, will face the winner of the NXT Tag Team Championship Eliminator Tournament, which will take place on next week's edition of NXT. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson of the OC, the LWO's Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro, and Nathan Fraser and Axiom will face each other in the final of the tournament. The 5th match confirmed for Stand and Deliver is the personal rivalry between former tag team partners Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, which is the only non-title match as of right now set for the show. But in addition to that, we do have hosts for NXT Stand and Deliver as well. NXT Stand and Deliver, which will take place on April 6th over WrestleMania weekend, will be hosted by a heel faction. Metaphor, the group led by Noam Dar and consisting of Jakara Jackson, Lash Legend, and Oro Mensah, will be the hosts of the Premium Live event, which will be held on April 6th. The announcement was made by Dar on this week's edition of NXT when he and the group briefly hijacked the show while in the production truck. So this announcement has now been confirmed. Now, a bit of an update when it comes to Alexa Bliss as well, which many fans will be interested in. It's been quite a while since WWE fans have seen Alexa Bliss inside of a wrestling ring. The former 5-time WWE Women's Champion and 3-time Women's Tag Team Champion hasn't wrestled a match since January 2023, where she unsuccessfully challenged Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship at the Royal Rumble. But Bliss is now hinting that a return to the squared circle could be on the horizon. Taking to X on Tuesday afternoon, Bliss noted that she was back at it, posting an emoji as a muscle flex and lifting weights, signaling she was back to working out. Though Bliss didn't provide any further clarification, several fans, even the official account of the USA Network, came away from the tweet excited, anticipating a potential WWE return. Now, Bliss's absence was brought on by a variety of factors, including an appearance for Fox the Masked Singer and a skin cancer scare shortly after her match at the Rumble. Bliss went public with her diagnosis in March, and days later would reveal she was cancer-free after undergoing a procedure soon after. Just 2 months later, Bliss revealed she was pregnant with her and her husband, singer Ryan Cabrera's first child, extending her absence. Bliss would give birth to the couple's first daughter, Hendrix, on November 27. Now, until yesterday's post, Bliss hadn't commented on a potential return to WWE since early in her pregnancy, where she revealed WWE had extended her contract prior to the Masked Singer appearance, and she planned to return to the promotion after giving birth. No other updates have emerged regarding when WWE expects Bliss to make her in-ring return. Of course, if we get any more details on that, we'll let you know in the future. Now, a couple of things have been announced for tonight's edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS as well. At AEW Big Business, Mercedes Moné made her long-awaited debut with AEW. After an opening promo, Moné made the save for Willow Nightingale against Julia Hart and Sky Blue. Then, the following week, the former WWE star was confronted by Hart and Blue until Willow and Chris Statlander made the save with some steel chairs. However, Nightingale didn't earn any trust from Moné in the process. Now, it seems like Mercedes will have a very close look at the in-ring action and the ladies she's been encountering as of late on this week's episode. On March 26, Tony Khan announced that Willow Nightingale will face Chris Statlander, Sky Blue, and Anna Jay in a 4-way match to determine the number 1 contender for Julia Hart's TBS Championship at AEW Dynasty on April 21st. To call the action, alongside Excalibur, Taz, and Tony Schiavone, Mercedes Moné will be joining the commentary team for this bout. Now, it's not the only thing that has been announced for the the show as well, because we're going to be getting a tag team title tournament quarter-final bout on Dynamite tonight. Now, Tony Khan announced on social media Tuesday that Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta of the Best Friends will face the Undisputed Kingdom's Matt Taven and Mike Bennett on Wednesday's Dynamite. Another tag team title quarterfinals match is already set for the Wednesday show, with the Young Bucks facing Private Party as well. In addition to that, we're going to be getting Swerve Strickland versus Konosuke Takeshita in a number one contenders match for Wednesday's episode. Will Ospreay versus Katsuyori Shibata also rounds out tonight's lineup as well. And finally, Natalia made a surprise appearance last night on NXT. Now, this was quite interesting because the main roster veteran accepted an open challenge from Lola Vice on Tuesday's show. During the match, Carmen Petrovic came out to confront Vice, as the two have exchanged words in recent weeks. Natalia ducked a strike by Vice and countered with an O'Connor roll for the victory. Natalia then celebrated her win with Petrovic on the outside. Vice last year won the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament, earning herself a championship match. She chose to cash in during a match between Lyra Valkyria and Roxanne Perez at Vengeance Day back in February. Vice ended up being pinned by Valkyria. Earlier this month, Petrovic and Vice confronted one another backstage, with Vice calling Petrovic Basura, or trash. In recent months, Natalia has been teaming with Tegan Nox, where they have been unsuccessful in capturing the women's tag team titles. Natalia's last appearance was on Raw back in February, when she lost an Elimination Chamber Last Chance Battle Royal, which was won by the returning Raquel Rodriguez. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this day. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.